Hi, welcome to Sunny's Mindset Lab. Today we're diving into one of the most brutally honest books ever written about leadership, Ben Horowitz's The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Now, this isn't your typical feel-good business book. This is a raw, unflinching look at what it's really like to lead when everything is falling apart.
Think about it for a second. Most of the business books you see out there, they offer these perfect, clean frameworks for success. They give you the blueprint for growth, for scaling, for winning, when the sun is shining and everything's going according to plan.
But that's the real question, isn't it? What happens when the plan goes out the window? This book isn't about how to avoid the fire. It's about what you do when you're standing in the middle of it. It's a guide for the psychological, emotional, and leadership war you have to fight when you're left in the ashes.
And this gets us right to the core of what Horowitz is trying to tell us. He argues that for the truly gut-wrenching challenges, the stuff that keeps you up at night, well, there's just no recipe. There's no easy, pre-written answer.
And these challenges, they're not just business problems. They are deeply human. They're emotional nightmares. There's no spreadsheet that can tell you how to look someone in the eye, someone you hired, who put their trust in you, and tell them they don't have a job anymore. That is what he means by the hard thing.
So, where did Horowitz even learn these lessons? Well, his trial by fire started early in his career, during one of the most legendary battles in the history of tech, the browser wars at Netscape.
Can you just imagine this for a second? You have built an incredible, game-changing product. You are literally at the forefront of the internet revolution. And then a giant like Microsoft comes along and decides to give away a competing product for free, effectively vaporizing your entire business model overnight. It just goes to show, even with a great team and a great product, a crisis can come out of nowhere.
Now, this quote is raw, I know, but it is so important. It came from his business partner, Mark Andreessen. And the lesson here is huge. When you're in a crisis, the strongest partnerships are not built on being polite. They are forged in brutal, unfiltered honesty. That kind of direct, harsh feedback, it's actually a sign of deep trust. And that lesson in brutal honesty, it was about to be tested to its absolute limit in Horowitz's next big adventure. After Netscape, he co-founded a company called LoudCloud. And this is where he faced his ultimate test as a leader during the dot-com crash. Just look at this timeline. The sheer speed of this rise and fall is staggering. One moment, you are on top of the world. You're a visionary. The next, your customers are going bankrupt, and investors are literally laughing you out of the room, telling you that you must be smoking crack to even ask for more money.
This quote just perfectly captures the emotional whiplash of leading through a crisis. It's not just one constant feeling of dread. It's swinging wildly between a tiny glimmer of hope and the crushing weight of total disaster, sometimes in the span of just a few hours.
Horowitz actually gives this feeling a name. He calls it the struggle. It's that invisible internal war that every single leader faces. It's the crushing pressure of knowing that people's livelihoods, their mortgages, their families, it all depends on you making the right call, even when you are absolutely terrified and have no idea what the right call even is.
So what's the cure? What's the secret to escaping the struggle? Well, here's the key idea. There isn't one. There is no magic formula. The only way through it is to just keep moving. You don't have to win the entire war today. You just have to find a way to survive today's battle so you can fight again tomorrow.
Okay, so if the only cure is to not quit, how do you actually do that? This brings us to Horowitz's practical playbook, the tactics he learned not in a classroom, but down in the trenches.
This is one of his most famous principles, and yeah, it's blunt. What it means is, when you have bad news, you deliver all of it, right away. You don't sugarcoat it, you don't trickle it out hoping to soften the blow. People can handle the truth, even when it's awful. What they can't handle is the uncertainty and the feeling that you're hiding something. Radical transparency is the only path forward.
This leads to another core idea, the two different modes a leader has to operate in. You've got the peacetime CEO, who optimizes a stable system. But then you have the wartime CEO, who is in a fight for survival. The real danger is when you mismatch the mode to the moment. A peacetime CEO in wartime is too slow, too focused on consensus, and they will get the company killed.
And that is such a powerful question to ask yourself. Are you in a period of calm growth where you can optimize? Or are you facing a serious threat where you need to move fast and break things? Recognizing which mode you need to be in is one of the most critical jobs of a leader. Now, check out the order here, because the order is everything. It is not profit first, it's people first. Always.
Why? Because your people are the ones who build the product, and that product is what generates the profit. If you sacrifice your people for short-term gains, you're destroying the very engine of your company. This hierarchy is non-negotiable.
You know, in a crisis, everybody is desperate for a quick fix. We all want that one magical solution that's just going to make all the problems disappear. Horowitz is here to tell us that that just doesn't exist. There are no silver bullets.
Instead of silver bullets, he says all you have are lead bullets. They're heavy, they're unglamorous, and they're difficult. They're the fundamentals, plain old hard work, real innovation, staying disciplined when everything is chaos, and making those tough calls without hesitating. It's not magic, it's just grit.
So how did this whole story end for LoudCloud? After living through the struggle, Horowitz had to make this single most painful decision of his career to save the company. He sold off the core services business, the part that made 100% of the revenue and had 446 of his 450 employees. But that absolutely brutal decision gave the tiny remaining piece of the company, the software part, a chance to survive. That little piece was reborn as a new company called Opsware. And after years of fighting, they eventually sold it to HP for $1.6 billion. Just an unbelievable turnaround born from the absolute brink of failure.
So, what does this all teach us? What can we take away? Well, it really boils down to a few core truths. Leadership isn't about having all the right answers. It's about having the courage to make a choice when there are no good options. It's about being honest, adapting your style, and understanding that the struggle isn't a sign you're failing. It's actually part of the process. And above all else, you just don't quit.
And this is the final takeaway, the ultimate message of the book. In the middle of a crisis, when you're just trying to make it to the next day, it's so easy to forget what winning even looks like. Horowitz reminds us that when you are in the fight of your life, simply surviving is success. Because if you can survive, you give yourself a chance to fight again, to rebuild, and maybe, just maybe, to one day win.